Hi, I'm Weston. I love talking about the Astros, and I'm here to talk about Game 15 of the regular season where the Astros win 8-7 over the Toronto Blue Jays in the 10th inning with a walk-off home run by Jeremy Pena. It's over! The 4-game losing streak is finally over with, and the Astros win it in pretty exciting fashion on the first home Sunday of the year. 8-7. I'm going to talk about a lot of things towards the end of the video. Let's just run through the scoring events. Second inning, the Astros load the bases. Chas McCormick steps up to the plate. Grounds one. Bichette makes a great play just to knock the ball down and not allow it to reach the outfield where 2 or more runs would have scored. Stays on the infield, but it's still a base hit for Chas, and the Astros score the first run of the game. After that, Alex Bregman would walk. He walked a few times today and drives home another run to make it 2-0 Astros. Later on, 4th inning, George Springer at third base. Vlad Guerrero Jr. steps up to the plate. He hits a sac fly to Kyle Tucker. Tucker had the velocity and could have beat Springer. It was just a bit offline, and Springer does a Springer dive to score. That was a beautiful play by George Springer there to make it 2-1. But in the bottom half of the 4th inning, the Astros answered back Michael Brantley with a bomb to make it 4-1 Houston. Michael Brantley, who's a pretty, calm, cool, and collected guy, looking pretty jacked up after that. And, I don't blame him. That was a nice home run. Then, in the 5th inning, Pena Chiquito would homer to make it a 2-run game again. But in the bottom half of that 5th inning, Jeremy Pena grounds one to Kevin Biggio. Offline throw from Kevin to the pitcher. It gets away from him. Thanks in part to the fact that Jeremy Pena was hauling up the first base line, and Pena Grande comes around to score. He did not give up on that play. That was a really nice, just keep going by Yuli there, and the Astros restore a 3-run lead. And that's where you think the game is going to get away from you, because then the 6th inning happens, and Zach Collins hits a rocket for a 3-run shot to tie the game at 5, and you're like, I've seen this movie before. We had a lead, and we give it up. We've done it time after time after time, and you kind of mentally lose it a little bit in the 6th inning, and then you fully lose it in the 7th. Because then in the 7th inning, Espinal doubles, and it's a 6-5 Toronto lead, and you feel drained because, once again, I believe for the 3rd time in this series, just against the Blue Jays, the Astros have a lead, and you lose it. I know that some of the leads we've had have been 1-run leads, but you had it, and in this case, you actually had a pretty sizable lead. You had a 3-run lead twice that you coughed up, and then now Toronto leads, and you're just drained. Aledmus Diaz singles, Yuli comes around to score, you tie it back up at 6, and the Astros, maybe for the first time this year, are actually fighting to stay in and potentially win a game, which just feels like it hasn't happened at this point. Then you go to the 10th inning and the stupid extra inning rule that is still... How is that still in the league, might I ask? Lourdes Gurriel doubles, it's 7-6 Toronto, and you just feel the energy leave the team. And you go to the bottom half of the 10th, down by 1. And yeah, you start with the same runner on second. You have the same opportunity that they did, but you just feel defeated. Because there is a difference between swinging for the fences and swinging out of pure anger. And Diaz was not swinging for the fences trying to go yard. He was just angry. And who can blame him? I get it. I understand it. It's been incredibly frustrating. But then a hero steps to the plate. Down by 1, Jeremy Pena, dead center field, the deepest point in Minute Maid Park. And for the win, 8-7, Jeremy Pena with a walk-off home run, and the Astros salvage at least one game of the series and end the losing streak. Now, looking at pitching today, Luis Garcia went 6 innings, gave up 5 runs, and struck out 6 with a walk. I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I don't think Luis Garcia particularly played poorly. I just think when he did make a mistake, it was paid for with a home run. He didn't have those mistakes that were just ripped for a double or ripped just foul or ripped and then caught on a line out. The only mistakes he made were home runs. That being said, they were bad mistakes, and I'm not going to excuse that. Mushkinski entered the game and didn't particularly look good. He would give up a run, and again, at that point, you were starting to really feel defeated if you were the Astros. Ronel Blanco would take over for Mushkinski, and he would look okay. He wouldn't give up any base runners. After that, Rafael Montero would come in. He would give up a pair of base hits, but would also get a pair of big strikeouts to couple with it, so kind of cancels it out. Brian Abreu would come in, and he would go an inning and 2/3. He would look shaky. He would give up a hit. He would give up a pair of walks. end a run, but again, it's the stupid run that doesn't actually count. He would have 3 strikeouts. I still am feeling pretty good and pretty solid about Brian Abreu so far, but this was certainly one of his more shaky games, and then after that, Blake Taylor would come in to get 1 out, and with that 1 out would also get his win. And now we're going to talk about the offense, because you score 8 runs. Now, I'm going to say 2 things. 1, the offense looked better today. 2, the offense still has a lot of problems. You still didn't hit particularly wonderful with runners in scoring position. 3 for 13 with 9 men left on base is not good. You also struck out 10 times, which is not ideal. But, and this is the but, the Astros were scoring runs the way we were last year. We struck out kind of a lot, but the Astros also put the ball in play quite a bit. The first one was scored because Chas McCormick was able to put bat to ball and get it in play and force a mistake by Bo Bichette. Later on, which one was it? Yeah, the Jeremy Pena run that would be scored. Again, put it in play and make them make a mistake. Brantley would get thrown out later in this game trying to stretch a double into a triple, but it took a perfect play from Lourdes Gurriel. You're making the other team make the mistakes. Now, granted, on that throw out by Brantley, they didn't make a mistake, but you're putting the ball in their court where they have to play perfect baseball in order to beat you. The Astros just haven't really done that to this point. There were mistakes today by the offense. They didn't look incredible, which is weird because they still scored 8 runs, but they looked okay. Here's the thing. You lose 4 straight. You lose 3 straight series. And actually kind of lose 4 because, one of them was to the Diamondbacks West, and they split that series. Yeah, it's the Diamondbacks. That's as good as a lost series. And after that, you're not going to complain about a win like this because at least you're starting to do the things right again that you were doing last year. You're hitting homers, you're putting the ball in play, you're making them play defense and make mistakes on defense, and you're also drawing a few walks. We had 5 today. I believe Bregman himself alone had 2. Yes, he did. Along with that, Maldonado also had 2. Maldonado, who oddly enough just decided to walk a lot this season. It wasn't the prettiest. The last swing was the prettiest, however. And the Astros finally get back in the win column tonight. First walk-off of the year feels pretty darn good. And for Jeremy Pena, can't understate him, who had a bit of a rough day and then bounces back with that blast to win it. That's got to feel pretty good to cap off your first homestand as a kid. Oh, it's his first homestand to cap off, guys. That's so cool. Feels good to win again. Anyway, Astros back in action tomorrow night, 8:05 Eastern. We are in Arlington to kick off the Silver Boot Series. Framber Valdez on the mound for us. The Rangers send out Dane Dunning, and I'll be here afterward to talk about it. So, that is all I have to say for the afternoon. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and as always, go Stros.